Hey there, how you doing? Charlie Winters here with horse racing and football selections for Saturday, the 21st of December. Well, disappointing day on Friday, absolute garbage. Nothing really ran a race. So let me get on to Saturdays. So I have had a bit of a problem with um I say connection problems. That's why I haven't been doing a video. I left my charger at work for my laptop. So I couldn't do it for that day. So yeah, and you didn't miss anything. So let me get into it. So some interesting, and I've had slightly different bets than what I normally have. Um, let me talk you through it now. So it's a 40 pence each way treble. Well, this main bet is a 30 pence each way painting with a 40 pence each way treble takes it to a fiver. So I've gone for three horses in races where they pay out on the first three instead of two. And I think they're interesting selections. So the first selection is, I don't know what it's called, Gigaville. Gigaville. I've left the price in the 12.20 at Haydock, paying three places instead of two. This one's trained by Nicky Richards, and it's been a bit lightly campaigned. There's been big absences. I'm thinking they think a little bit of something on it, of it, and they've given it time. Basically, I think it's had its fair share of issues, but I've looked at the race and it's absolutely dreadful. Um, the outsiders, in my opinion, have got pretty much no chance, and the fancied horses, in my opinion, have got to improve a little bit because they're handicapped to what they've achieved so far. So I think that gives this horse, I'm not going to say it again, um, a bit of a sniff. To be fair, I don't know. I'm taking fitness on trust. I'm taking temperament. I'm taking ability on trust. But it's Nicky Richards, and I think it's got a little bit of a chance. The second selection is Gats and Co. I've left the price in the 3 minutes past one race at Hereford, paying three places instead of two. First of all, I'm dreadful at Hereford, but what I do think is this horse has had a number of dreadful runs. However, if it gets an easy lead in front, because once again there are so many question marks over the rest of them, I do think the first two in the betting have got decent realistic chances. But after that, it's anybody's. But I think if this horse goes to the front, sets its own fractions, which is a nice easy pace out in front, it could be difficult to pass. It has run very well off much higher marks. It's only because it's completely out of form or hasn't completed the fact that it's become very well handicapped. And the final selection in this bet is Solo. I've left the price in the 115 at Ascot, paying three places instead of two. This horse was odds on for this race last year for Poor Nichols. It came second. I think it's got a decent chance. I looked at the commentary of this horse last time, and I didn't need it to be fair because I'd already made up my mind that this horse was run over that distance, and it didn't stay. I hovered over it, and it's clear that it's clear because they've said in brackets it says the horse didn't stay the 2 mile 7 race distance, so it's been dropped back to a course that it loves. Well, it ran over the course last time over 2 mile 7, but it's back again over a course that it loves over a much more realistic distance. And also, it's ran in this race in the past, so we know that it gets aimed at this race. So I think it's got a chance. It were about 15-2, and like I said, I do think it's got a chance. And I have backed a number of the Poor Nichols horses on Saturday because I do believe he's running into a little bit of form, and I believe his horses aren't good enough to win at Cheltenham. So it's probably Christmas time when it's his time of year, in my opinion. Now, so the next bet, just going to minimise that. Just so I've had a 40p win Yankee and a 30 pence each way accumulator. So I've gone for four Nichols horses, all with I think have got decent chances. However, I wouldn't normally have this kind of bet because two of the races are paying four places instead of three and five places instead of three. And both of his horses are favourite. I think all four of these horses are favourite currently in the race. There's nothing really sure, but in two of the races where it's four places instead of three and five places instead of three, it is something like 5-2 and 7 to 2. So it's not great prices, but I do think all four of them have got decent chances. I very rarely back horses to win. I want them to win, but I don't solely back them normally, win only. But doesn't mean anything. It's just that I think there could be an angle. And I did say that the trainers could have a decent accumulator before Christmas. It's still to happen, but and this isn't going to exactly bring the house down, but I think they've got chances. So the first selection in this 40p win Yankee and 30 pence each way accumulator is Just Lucky Sivola. I've left the price on all of these in the 12.40 at Ascot. The second selection is Regatta de Blanc in the 138 at Hereford. The third selection is Below the Radar in the 213 at Hereford. And the final selection is Cabral du Matin in the 335 at Ascot, paying 5 places instead of 3. I'm just trying to think which one it is. Do it yourself. One of these horses beat, I can't remember the horse's name now. It beat a horse that won on Friday, and it won really well. I think it was by the Chris Gordon stable. Tell you what, let me have a quick look. It's either 335 or 12.40. No, so I think it's the other one. Cabral de Matin. Don't get me wrong, it's a very competitive race. Obviously, you've got Dysart Enos in there. But I just think it shows that the. So you got that horse there, King William Rufus, absolutely hyped up. This one comfortably beat it last time. But look at King William Rufus. I don't know if it'll show you today's run. I think it will do. Won by 6 lengths. Raced in second, carried left, took Keynold, going best home to went clear easily. Competitive race at Ascot. 18 runners by 6 lengths. Yeah, it's been running well up until then, but today I don't know what happened to it. Absolutely hacked up. You'd probably begin to think it was ungenuine by the number of seconds, but then it absolutely hosed up at Ascot on Friday. So yeah, that's frank the form, but I do think it's a much tougher race for this selection to run in at Cabral de Matan. Anyway, so those are the four selections. These are my each way ones now. No, right. So what I've gone for now is this was the last bet I put on, I think. It was just a small each way patent. So it's a 13 pence each way patent to make it to £1.82. And then, yeah, and then I had a bit of a treble. Only small stakes. So I've gone for big. These are big prices. So once again it's Gats and Co in the 3 minutes past one race at Hereford, 3 places instead of two. Easy lead. It could sneak a place. Currently about 18 to 1 or 20s, I think. The second selection is Edna E Mode in the 6:15 at Wolverhampton. So this horse, it was it was doing okay for Harry Charlton, and then it looks like it was bought to go hurdling, and it didn't lift a leg up. It literally finished last at Leicester on the flat for, can't remember the trainer. Um, the trainer is Robert Stevens now. But yeah, but it never did anything over hurdles. Um, I think one of them was refused, and one of them might have been a pulled up. But on the flat, if you go back to, I think it was the beginning of this year. In fact, the trainer was Stuart Edmonds who took it over hurdles. Um, if you go back to the flat form, this horse has got a chance in a dreadful race, but it's just we don't know how fit it is or what the temperament's like after having no shows over hurdles, but it's currently 20 to 1. It's a dreadful race. It could sneak a place, but I've also gone for another horse in the same race, which has got a more obvious chance. But it doesn't mean that Edna E Mode cannot get a place. The third selection, I think this is crazy. This price. This horse has ran um, some excellent races off a much higher mark. The only problem is it might get lost in trouble. It's normally held up and comes with a late run. It's been rated a fair amount higher. Only I think it was this time last year. It's off of something like 58 now. It was running very well off of 68 last year. I think it might even have won off 68. So it's become a very well handicapped horse, and it's currently 20 to 1. I think it's bonkers. The problem is, it's Derek Shaw, and you never quite know which horse is going to turn up. If it goes from 20s to something like 72, then you know it's got a chance. Right, this is my main each way bet now. So I've gone for a 10 pence each way, lucky 63. Then after this, it'll be the football bet. So once again, it's solo in the 115 at Ascot, paying three places instead of two. It's currently about 8 to 1. The second selection is Hidden Valley Lake in the 225 at Ascot, paying four places instead of three. I think there's an awful lot of horses very closely matched. I do believe there's a couple of dangers, which is the Nichols and Skelton horses. However, I think those two horses, or the trainers, are hoping it might turn into a sprint. But I think the Irish trainers are a bit too wise to that, and will probably make sure that it isn't a dawdle, because the Skelton and Nichols horses, in my opinion, in this race are very doubtful stayers. But I think they're probably hoping that it's a two-furlong sprint. The third selection is Clyde Bay in the 5 past 4 at Wolverhampton, paying four places instead of three. So this one, what normally happens with it is, or what needs to happen, it needs to be buried mid-division and only see daylight when they turn the corner at Wolverhampton. It always seems to make some ground, especially recently, but it tends to flatten out a bit. But I think if they can smuggle it into the race, it's got a bit of a chance, and I think it could be a big drifter. It's currently 8 to 1. I'd expect it to be bigger. Obviously, I've left the price anyway. The fourth selection is Black Smoke. I've left the price in the 6.15 at Wolverhampton. This is in the same race as that Edna E Mode, but this is the more obvious chance. Um, it took a wide berth last time. Wasn't beaten too far. I think it was beaten 3 lengths. I think this horse ought to run a place really. Not a crazy price. I think it's about tens actually, but I think rather than it being ready for winning, I think it could sneak a place. I think it's sneak a place. I think it could get a place. The fifth selection is Gustav Graves. Like I mentioned earlier, it's 20 to 1, so I've taken the price in this bet. In the 7.15 at Wolverhampton, paying four places instead of three. It will come absolutely flying towards the end. I just hope they don't give it too much to do, and I hope, um, I hope the uh, what? How do I even say it? I hope it's a trier. Yeah, said it now. And the other selection is also another Derek Shaw horse, also well handicapped. I think they've messed around with the distance recently, so I think it's become even more well handicapped, and it could be a slightly bigger price than expected because people might not have noticed that they've messed around with the trip slightly, not massively, but it went. I think it went over a mile and three at Southwell, and it's something like back over a mile and one or something like that. Saturday night. So I think I like the look of all the selections. I've managed to mix it up a bit. I'm not blowing smoke up my own, but I do like the bets because it's giving me plenty of chances. We've got a win bet. We've got a big priced small bet, which is the a few pence each way painting. We've got the three places instead of two. Think it was a Trixie or Paynton. Then we've got this like main bet where I've managed to group quite a few of them together that I like the look of. So yeah, so let's try and get as many placed as we can. I'll settle for places even if we don't get the wins. It soon adds up when you get these places. Obviously, I want them to win. Don't get me wrong. So this is the football bet. So it's a £7 over 2.5 goal treble and a £3 over 3.5 goal treble. It's the same matches in both bets. So I've gone for Plymouth versus Middlesbrough. Personally, I don't think Plymouth are a great price, but sometimes I think in the football, rather than looking at teams, I think you're better off looking at the managers. So it's Wayne Rooney versus Michael Carrick. Well, I'd say Michael Carrick's got a much more of a football brain than Wayne Rooney, regardless of what rate Wayne Rooney achieved. I think Michael Carrick's a lot smarter or astute than Wayne Rooney. So I think Middlesbrough could be a nice little bet to actually win the match, but I think the 3-5, and that's no price for me really. Saying that, about over 2.5 goals at 1-2, but then again, I just want goals. The second match is Newport versus MK Dons. Well, MK Dons always seem to they seem to allow themselves to get 2 goals behind before they end up winning something like 5-2 or 3-2. So I think that's got a realistic chance. The third match is Ipswich versus Newcastle. I expect Ipswich to score, and I probably expect Newcastle to win. So there could be goals in that match. So just scroll down to the next bet, and there you'll see I've had it once again. Over 3.5 goals bet. So those are all the selections for Saturday. So if you can give me a like or a subscribe, I would really appreciate it. What I'm thinking of doing, I'm thinking of changing the name of the channel to the Charlie Winters Show. I know it sounds a bit not narcissistic, not quite in that direction, but as in like, because what I'm thinking of doing, I'm thinking of buying or subscribing to that StreamYard where I can. Obviously, I'm probably gonna reveal myself in a nice, sensible way, where I show my face. Why not? Let's see if it really does affect how many viewers I get. I know there's talk of if you show your face, um, I don't know if it's in YouTube's algorithm or what, but we'll see about that. But I'm also thinking about analysing races a bit more often and maybe even doing a live stream. So that'll be interesting because as I'm an introvert, this is probably going to be the worst thing I could possibly do. So if you give me a like or a subscribe, I would really appreciate it. Charlie Winters, from the Charlie Winters Show, over and out. Cheers, mate.